Did you know that over 5 million different video games have been published since the 1970s? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 171. My name's Gareth Bryan, I'm going to be your host. On my virtual left is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Hello, good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. On my virtual right, in a hotel in York, no one knows why he's there, it's Mr. Darren Edwards. How you doing, Darren?
Hello, good evening. Relocation not to be revealed. Thanks for shuffling around for me. I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And why are you in the hotel? Can you say?
Official business. That's all I can say.
Witness protection.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And on my virtual opposite is Mr. Paul Renshaw. How you doing, Paul?
Hello, Gareth. I'm not in a hotel, you'll be pleased to know, for the first time this week. So, yes, I am super. Thanks for asking.
How's your week, Paul? Let's start with you. What have you been doing?
Let's start with me. My week, Gareth, has been, family podcast and all. My week has been challenging, shall we say. The MD of our firm went around to one of the branches of one of the companies we own last week and said, I don't like all these walls here, take them away. So then we pointed out that these walls were holding up a gigantic concrete slab that was like the roof of the offices and stuff. I don't care, it's all coming out. So basically I got the nod that one of the offices that was being destroyed was where all the networking for this building came together. So it was, can you just nip up there and move the networking? And obviously just nip and move isn't quite right. It took me 4.5 days to get all these cables traced and moved and plugged back in and everything working again.
Nice.
So, yes, it was very exciting. I also picked up a new skill. I learned how to move safes. So there you go. That's not something that you can. Everybody can say. I'll tell you. So,
how do you move a safe?
Carefully, because they're quite heavy.
Yeah.
No, basically, what you have to do is you get a massive, great crowbar under the front, and sort of lift it as much as you can, and then slide a piece of wood under, and then you lift the other side and slide a slightly bigger bit of wood under, then you keep doing that until you can get a pallet truck in, and then you can pump it up and move it.
What does your firm do? What do you do at your place, apart from rip down walls and hang out?
I do IT.
Yeah,
but the firm I work for, we import like artificial flowers and all sorts of things.
Oh, yes. Oh,
and we do lovely, pretty floral arrangements.
Great. There you go. Good. Darren,
yes.
have you had a better week than that?
I have, actually. I think I have.
Good.
Go out
Hopefully you can explain it. Yeah.
yes, I shall. So we went to see Peter Kay last week in Nottingham, and he was absolutely brilliant. So I don't know if many of you are fans of Peter Kay, but he's been on and off the live scene for a while. And he's back with a new tour, which is a mega tour. I think he's touring for about 2 years or something, and he's got a residency going at the O2 down in London. And it was new material, but it was lots of cheeky callbacks to stuff he's done in the past. And I won't spoil it for anybody who may be going, who may be listening, but stay till the end is all I'll say. It was brilliant. And right. He's lost quite a bit of weight as well. He looks almost unrecognisable from what he did a couple of years ago, but doctor's orders apparently. But no, he was fantastic. And then we also went to see Mission Impossible 7 last week, which was absolutely incredible. I think it deserves all the hype. It's absolutely brilliant. kind of action movies are back in the cinema between that and John Wick. So if you haven't seen it, go and see it because I think it's fab. So I've had a pretty good week, to be fair.
How's that one doing in the... Because cinema this summer's having a bit of a problem with box office, apart from one of the films that's coming out this week. How's Mission Impossible 7 doing? Do you know? Is it doing well?
I think it's done fairly well, but just shy of the expectation. So
Right.
comparatively to like Indiana Jones, for example, which is supposedly going to be a big flop, it's done pretty well, but not quite as well as they were hoping for.
Do you think this is the idea of this? I mean, this is going to be interesting because Barbie's going to be ridiculous sales because it's an event. So I was trying to work we were in London yesterday, and I was in the South Bank in the beer fund. We were doing some work, and then they had a whole Barbie screening, and it was just full of we were in the men, everyone in pink, all dressed up, going into this thing, and it's kind of like that film's become like this mega kind of like event, and especially the double bill with Oppenheimer and stuff. It's become this sort of like a thing to do, isn't it? Like, not only going to the cinema to see something, but you're going for it's going to make more money probably than all of them, I think. But do you think? Sorry, back to that question. Do you think the Summon Blockbuster's in trouble? Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not sure it's in trouble across the board, but I think it's definitely more difficult for them to get the revenue compared to a few years ago. And I'm not quite sure why that is, because streaming's been around for a while, cost of living, are people thinking, I won't go to the cinema to see it, I'll wait until it comes onto something I already subscribe to, because stuff that Disney owns tends to drop onto Disney Plus quite quickly these days. It's only a month or two afterwards. I think Guardians 3 is dropping in a couple of weeks. But then again, I think the Barbie films had a really strong, multifaceted marketing campaign behind it. Like, I know the business I work for, Fossil, we've got a limited edition collaboration range that's out as well, and we did for Star Wars a couple of months ago, and that's been drawing a lot of attention. But even when you go onto Snapchat, there's like a Barbie filter. It's everywhere. So I think that's a real key part of the machine as well, to really get some buzz, as you were saying, some excitement. And I was reading something that there was a worldwide shortage of pink paint during the production because they used that much to make the film. So they've really gone kind of full tilt and lent into the kind of the pink and the marketing for it. So it seems to be working.
I think you're right. I think that was Barbie and the sort of like idea of doing the Oppenheimer double bill, which became like a great kind of idea from a marketing thing and a mad thing to do, watching 5 hours of movies. But it's become like an event, isn't it? It's become like going to see Secret Cinema or something. It's that kind of thing they're trying to. Maybe that's the way people want to do. If they're going to spend 20 quid on a ticket or something, they want to make it a night of it, don't they? I suppose maybe.
Well, this is it. But I think in terms of a lineup of films on paper, it's quite strong for summer. There's quite a lot of big films that have come out in the space for a few weeks. So it might just be that people are really been choosing what they spend the money on these days.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Darren, for that. That was our film special chat. Yeah, very good.
No things apart from games.
We're bringing in Richard. I feel Richard's been left out here. Richard, how are you doing?
Okay, I just want to echo Darren's sentiments on Mission Impossible 7.
Yes.
If you get the chance, go and see it. It's brilliant, and I'll happily help the revenue by going and seeing it again at some point, probably.
We said that. We were like, should we go again? We might do.
I like the way you think it's a charity.
I wish I had all this money, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You should have opened the safe, Paul.
I was going to say, you can tell the people here that don't have children. So taking kids to a film is ridiculously expensive. You almost need a new mortgage for it. So, especially when you put popcorn in it and you think that's £28 a kilo or something. It's ridiculous.
There you go. So, Richard, back to you. It's your time now, Richard.
Sorry.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a therapist and like a family therapy session. Yes, Richard, it's your time to speak.
I'm always interested in hearing reasons why I shouldn't have kids. So
that's one of them. Yeah.
But as exciting as my week got was my hard drive broke that I've had in the back of my Xbox for 3 or 4 years now. Tried every method, tried different cables, different ports, everything, and it's just gone kaput. So I've been scouring eBay and other sites trying to find a proper Series X expansion pass, but they're just so expensive. And this hard drive was 5 terabytes, and the biggest one of those storage ones, I think, is 2 terabytes, which is then half the price of a Series X on top of that, and I just can't justify it at the moment. But that's very exciting. Well, I pay monthly for that, so I think to go and see Mission Impossible, it was 21 quid if I didn't have that pass, which I pay £15 a month for. So
it costs you 36 quid to go and see that. That's what, a sixth of the way to an expansion.
What maths are you using there?
Well, it was 180 quid when I bought mine.
If you don't buy a coffee, you can get a mortgage on a house. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's us into the politics section there.
Yeah, that's it.
Trying to get
I just want to
don't get me there, because there'll be all sorts of swearing and tears before bedtime.
I just want to remind everyone it's a slow games week. It's why we've spent the last 15 minutes. We've not even got to games yet.
We're filling the time.
Yeah. Oh, Rich, that's sad. I'm very sad for you. But I've got no but. Let's talk about games.
No, we want to hear about.
I was going to be like Cilla Black then, going surprise, surprise. I've got a hard drive for you, but I didn't have anything. Oh yes, well, I've got something, haven't I?
We want to know about your starring role in that Barbie movie.
Yeah, I'm in that as something. I joined Paramount Plus, which I think I might have talked about on this, and I forgot to cancel it, so I'm watching it forever. I can cancel it, but I'm kind of like, I got into the series Yellowstone, which I really like, and I think after that comes out, maybe I cancel it. I'm enjoying it. Some good stuff on there. But Yellowstone, which is a brilliant series, all about a kind of ranch in the modern days in Montana, starring Kevin Costner. It's very popular, and the writer Taylor Sheridan is like a huge kind of like, he's an actor, but he's a writer producer, kind of like in America, and everyone wants to work with him. So he got to what they called sort of like the sub-series of that. He got a mini-series called 1883, which is set in the same universe in a sense, but of course it's in 1883. And he's got 1923, which has got starring Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, and that's had one season. But the one I watched is called 1883, and it's basically about it's kind of a one-off series, and it's about the Oregon Trail. If you know what the Oregon Trail is, it's about when people come to America, they went on this kind of like with wagons, normally from like Eastern Europe or just Europe, to go on the Oregon Trail, so they could go to Oregon. And in Oregon, you could just basically find a spot, and that's your land, rather than some of the more developed areas. And that would be yours. So that was the thing. But this Oregon Trail was this horrendous kind of journey through just the wilderness and different temperatures, going across rivers that would kill these people. People can swim, going across mountains, all trying to do it before the winter and trying to avoid dysentery and all these different things. And then there was kind of wars and bandits and kind of like tribes as well. So that's what this series done. It's brilliant, actually. It's a really well sort of 10 episode. If you've got Paramount Plus and you want to give it a go, beautifully filmed, beautifully shot, really kind of great story. I would recommend it. I really enjoyed it. Not many people got Paramount Plus, but if you have, I'd give it a go. If you get Paramount Plus for a month, watch Yellowstone in a month and this, and then maybe give it a go. But good. That's the thing I'll be watching. Let's have a look at games. What have you been playing? Let's start with Paul. What have you got? What's your first one?
I'll start with the big one. I've been playing Exoprimal, which I still maintain would be entirely up your alley, Gareth. I've heard that you are something of a ace at these sort of third-person shooting games, and we're always looking for new members of the team.
If I was a 14-year-old boy with anger issues, I might play it, but I'm not. So I think it's. I don't think.
Professionals. Wow.
There you go. Everybody out there that likes Exoprimal, the email address you need to write to is gareth@oldbloke.com.
There's not many of them, so I'm not. That's very. Go on, tell us about Exoprimal.
Despite Gareth being somewhat disparaging about one of Capcom's finest games, It's very good. It's surprising, given the premise. The premise is that you're stuck in this kind of war game being run by a rogue AI. And that's basically the whole game. You keep repeating these war games, and you have to fight dinosaurs and fight other people and everything else. And it sounds like it'd get dull pretty quickly, but it hasn't yet, which is surprising me. And I'm actually quite enjoying it. We managed to get our Richard here sat opposite on the hello. We managed to get him into the team last night, and along with Ali, one of the other guys from the website, and we had a blast. I think that's fair to say, wouldn't you, Dobbo?
I'm pleasantly surprised by it. Yeah,
it's
a lot better than I think it's got any right to be, but yeah, it's good.
It's a lot better than you think. So yeah, all we need now is a crusty old bloke to round out the roster, and even Darren downloaded it. He didn't actually play it. He started to download it, and then claimed he had a power cut, which was convenient.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to play it.
Anyway, the game itself is surprisingly good. I mean, that sounds like faint praise, but if you keep your eyes out for the upcoming review, I'll explain exactly what I'm thinking.
Can I ask some questions? Is it?
Yeah,
of course,
certainly.
It's online only, isn't it? So you're in squads. Is that right? Or has it got a single player?
Correct.
So yeah.
No, there's a story, but there's not single player as such. Every time you go into this Dino survival mode, you're matched with there's two teams of 5 basically, and there's absolutely no shortage of players, as you'd imagine.
I think my concern with these games, there's always a game like this will pop up, and it's just how long they can survive for before those servers go under, and then what else is there after a while, or they just gets quieter. And there's only a couple of them that can make it through this kind of like journey, and I don't know. It just doesn't make me excited in any way.
Is it because you're not walking about looking in shop windows?
Well, it's because it's just I don't know. It's just joining with a group of
explosions and dinosaurs,
there's guns and explosions everywhere.
All the good things.
Oh dear me!
You can dress your character up as a giant tree.
Oh my god! There was a great my friend was playing the game recently. He's my age, and he got his wife in and said, "Look, he's playing Assassin's Creed, I think, honestly." And his mount, he made a unicorn with us. For some reason, he must have got a DLC. And he went, "Look, I've got a unicorn that does rainbows." And his wife went, "Why would you do that?" Mm-hmm. And it made him feel terrible.
See, leave it to the wife to always ask the question.
Yeah.
The difficult question.
Existential crisis after that. It's
exactly.
Like, yeah, true. Why have I done? Why have I done this? Why am I on my own on top of a unicorn? No, I made a choice to put DLC. Yeah. Darren, have you played it yet? Have you had a go?
I tried and genuinely got to about 90%, and then about 2,000 houses in our area lost power for about an hour.
Right.
And also I'm having similar problems to Richard because my internal hard drive is full. It installed it on my external, but then it couldn't run off it, so I had to move it over. So by the time I sorted it, I didn't get on. But I think because Capcom are behind it, I am tempted to give it a go. And, Paul's praising it and Richard's praising it. So I understand why you're skeptical, but I think I need to give it a go first before I judge it.
Quite right. I think it's just the words.
If only Gareth was so open-minded, Darren.
Well,
that's all I'll say.
Just the word, just those words. Paul's praised it. I mean, that was it.
Well, yeah. If it's a Paul game,
listen, there's no aliens, so you'll be all right.
I will give it a go. I have downloaded it, so I'm going to give it a go. I'd be good. I'm lying, really. I've downloaded it.
You need to let us know.
I will do. I'll be off of the podcast. I'll do it for next week.
We'll get you in there.
Great, Richard. What have you got? Have you got a game?
Yeah. I will talk about a game that I am currently reviewing called Graveyard Keeper. This came out, I think, 5 years ago now, but they've just released I believe it's called the Last Journey Edition, which is all the previous DLC all rolled up into one nice, neat package. So I'm reviewing the complete thing now. It's like a farming sim with a bit more of an edgy vibe. So you play as someone that inherits this house, and next to this house is a graveyard and a church, and you also inherit that. And your job, in the first instance, is to get these bodies that get delivered to your morgue, treat them, get them ready for burying, basically. But you also get told at the very beginning that you can cut pieces of meat off them, and then if you want, you can sell that meat to the guy that runs the tavern in the local village.
Wow.
He then basically tells you that whilst he has no problem with this meat, you need a royal stamp to be able to sell it to him. And then it just sets forth this chain of events where you will meet these characters. They'll all have tasks for you and stuff, and it's just full of these little quests to do, in and amongst it still being like a farming sim as well. So whilst you've got to bury these bodies, you'll quickly learn that you've got access to a garden where you can go grow crops and everything, all the traditional stuff in a farming sim. You can go fishing. There's like I said, there's a tavern, there's a woodcutter, a stonemason, and people like that, and they can give you stuff, and then you can go around and start making your own things. It's got a massive skill tree where you unlock new abilities for new stuff to build. It's absolutely chock-a-block of not necessarily loot, but things that you can make that then build onto bigger things that you can make. There's a real big chain of that kind of thing. I'm having a really good time with it. It's like it almost looks like an old school Harvest Moon game, so it's sort of top down pixel art, but the pixel art is absolutely incredible. It's some of the best pixel art I think I've ever seen. Looks absolutely brilliant. I think the music's a bit ropey in it, but in terms of a game and what you can do in it, it's just, I'm always getting distracted basically. So I've got like these main tasks that I need to do, but then obviously something else comes along and I'm more interested in that, but I then need to upgrade certain skills before I can do it. So whilst I'm doing that, I'm then learning other things as well, and it's just full of these distractions that sort of keep you away from the main story, but in the best way possible.
Wow. That sounds good. It sounds unique. I like the idea of it's kind of a weird body thing with a sort of Animal Crossing kind of thing to it, or like you said, a Harvest Moon. Yeah. Good. What have you given it, Richard? Have you given it a score yet? Or have you reviewed it?
I haven't yet. I'm currently writing it, but I think it's going to be one of those games that I keep playing after I've reviewed it as well. Because, like I say, it's got 3 DLC packs now, one of which is unlockable from the very beginning, basically. But some of the others takes a long while to play through, so I need to play a bit more. But there's loads of content in it. But it's going to be north of 3.5 stars, I think, at this point already.
Great. Graveyard Keeper.
That does sound good, actually.
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Richard. Any questions for Richard's Graveyard Keeper? You don't have to. We could sit in silence and contemplate it. If you want.
We could do, couldn't we? Let's just think on the profundity of his words.
It's good words. Described it beautifully. Good. Darren, tell us about your game.
So I only have the one game this week. So yeah, unless you want to hear me talk about Halo Infinite again, which I'm sure you don't. So yes. I've been playing Novalands. So it's a bit of a mixture of genres, but it's like a resource simulator, resource management sim, if you like. So you land on like a new planet and you have to explore it and build up a base and like set up camp essentially. And to do that, you may need to mine rocks to build little forges, pick berries to craft med packs, fell trees to get wood to build all sorts of different things. So it's that type of scenario. And the world map is hexagonal, but you unlock the next hexagon in the chain by crafting so many items, etc., etc. And your characters will then bump into other kind of stranded people, and if you bring them certain resources, they'll build things. Then you'll be able to build like an upgrade shop or an armor shop, and it goes from there really. And it's kind of 2D, kind of retro pixelated style graphics, which normally I'm a bit like, oh, here we go again. But it does look quite good, to be fair. And I've not played an awful lot of it so far, but it started to really open up after played like 2 or 3 hours. And as you unlock new resource, new facilities, like I said, like a radar station, you'll be able to kind of see where to go next. Or you might have like a little forge so you can craft certain things like copper bars to then make something else. So it's a bit like a domino effect. Once you unlock what you need, you then unlock something else and so on. And then there's also like little dungeons that you can kind of go down into, and you get asked that question of, are you sure you want to go here? So basically make sure you're prepped, you've saved, and you're ready to go. So I'm looking forward to getting further into it at the minute, but as I say, I've only played about 2 or 3 hours, so it's supposedly got around 50 hours plus gameplay to it. Like the last game I reviewed, that noob game, which is why it took me a while. So I'll be interested to see kind of if it can hold my attention for as long as that, because so far so good, I'd say.
Good, Darren. Your connection's cutting out a couple of times, but it's fine because I think we can play guess the word in between.
Okay.
Which I quite like.
It's a great game.
Because you're going, what do you mean? I think it's a little thing.
All those swear words that he was using.
But we got a big gist of it, so we got a lot of it, so it's good. It's the only odd word. But you are in a hotel in Leeds. Of course you can, Paul.
Thank you. Darren, would you say, have you played Terraria?
I've not played Terraria, but it looks a lot like Terraria.
I was going to say, it sounds from your description to an awful lot like Terraria. So,
I think the game's description says if you were to mix Factorio, Forager, and Satisfactory, which must be small, similar games. I've never played them, but they're the type of games for anybody out there who knows or is familiar with them. That's kind of what it's aiming for.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Good.
That's all I wanted to know.
Neverland's another solid description.
Sorry.
Go on, yes, please.
One thing I forgot to add, which is quite cool, is you can use technology to support you. So you can create little robots that will go and you can task them to forage a certain resource and bring it back to a certain place. So you can automate your base as you grow it. So it gets less repetitive if you're clever about it. So there is a bit of strategy in there as well.
Great.
Very, very nice.
Very good. Thank you, Darren. Who's next? It's me. Now, I reviewed so many games this month, and I couldn't remember any of them. But one of the ones I did do was Truck Driver Heading North. I think I did that a couple of weeks ago. Truck Driver is a game that Richard reviewed, the first game. Didn't you, Richard? Yeah. Is that right?
I do. I remember it well.
You were quite harsh on it when you, Richard, says what you gave it?
Oh, was it 2.5?
I think it might have been, yeah. Yeah. What did you think of it?
It was okay. I think it did quite a few things right, but I was expecting something a little bit different. Like, it seemed to be a very small map for what I was expecting, and I think that let it down somewhat. Yeah,
so if people don't know, Truck Driver is, you are a truck driver in I think it's a Norwegian landscape, I think it is, and you're kind of like going on a map and you're basically picking up goods and you're delivering it to people. That's fair enough, isn't it? I mean, that's it, really.
Yeah.
And you're driving along, trying not to break speed limits or crash. But now we've got Truck Driver Heading North, and so it's a DLC expansion with a much bigger island than the main game, actually. So it's this island further north in this Norwegian. I don't know if it's a real place, but it's this huge island, huge kind of map. But you're doing the same thing. You've got missions. You'll take your truck and then you'll go to the person and say, "We've got a job for you." And there's a little bit of story in their narrative. In this one, there's a kind of story about a lot of people don't like to deliver stuff because these little gnomes, which are part of Norwegian folklore, are nicking stuff, which is quite weird. I don't know. And then you go and deliver your goods and then drive across the other bit of the island. I can't even remember what I gave it. I think I might have gave it a 3. It's fine, but I think we kind of want... It's fine. It's good for that budget of the game. It's a big budget. People like trucks and people like driving. It's fine. You do question, what am I doing in my life when you're playing it? As you're driving across for the 10th time across the island, trying to avoid speed limits. And the kind of story bits are quite nice, but it's no variation in what you're delivering. There's nothing no look. You can buy new trucks, you can customize things if you're into all that. I think what we all want from a console maybe is like one of the big Euro Cup truck games, don't we?
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Apart from
As I say, do we?
Richard and me would like. Richard, you'd like this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, the Euro Truck Simulator and how it's pretty much replicated the entirety of Europe to drive across.
Yeah,
would be good.
And they're like, but why haven't they come? There is a rumor that they're waiting for a while, maybe a couple of years, to come to console. But it's strange that we haven't had them across, especially with the new consoles. But yeah, that's Truck Driver heading
Euro
north.
Truck. Oh, sorry, Euro Truck or Forza Horizon 5. That's a tough choice.
What game did I recently do, which was going across? I talked about the tram one. yeah.
I mean, now you're talking. That's what we need. More games like that, please.
I'm sure I did another one as well. Oh, the bloody coach driving one. Oh my God, yeah, Jesus, that was going across a lot of Europe. Oh my God, checking people's tickets. Yeah, that was brilliant. Checking people's tickets, going, you haven't got a ticket, and they just stand there looking at you.
And then what do they do?
Yeah, just stand there looking at you. Most of them look at their phones when I'm going to them. You can't get on the bus. They don't care. Good. Truck driving headed north. Now, let's go for another game from Paul. Paul, what's the other game?
Hello. The other game I've got is it's just for a change. It's actually a PC game. It's a preview of a game called Yet Another Zombie Survivors, which makes my inner sort of grammar person sad because it doesn't make sense. But basically what it is like if you imagine Vampire Survivors, but then you have it from like a top-down isometric perspective with proper 3D graphics and stuff. And that's basically what it is. You are playing a survivor of a zombie outbreak, and you can choose various different classes. At the start, you've got a SWAT guy, one called Tank who's got a shotgun, and an engineer who has an electric gun. And you basically, it's an automatic shooter, so the guy that you're controlling will shoot whatever threat is closest to him. But in a nice touch, you can also wander around the map and find other people and recruit them. So you can end up controlling a team of 3 people. And it's really quite good. It's got that sort of Vampire Survivors hook to it, but looking slightly better. So, yeah, I mean, I've not played a massive amount, but I'm enjoying it so far. Any questions?
Is it a bit like State of Decay? Is that what it's like? Or is it...
No, State of Decay was proper 3D, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Right.
And
yeah.
This is more... This is like a sort of... If you imagine Diablo, that kind of view.
Right.
And then the only controls you've got are the arrow keys on the keyboard just to move your team around.
Okay.
And they shoot, and when you defeat zombies, they drop experience, and then you can upgrade your stuff and get new abilities and stuff. And it's turning into quite a good little preview. I'm quite enjoying it. So again, keep an eye out for an upcoming sort of thoughts piece.
Oh, thought piece. I like that. Nice little thought piece.
Well, it's not a review.
No, it's like
a preview.
No, some people might call it. Some people might call it a preview, but I like thought piece more than anything else. Yes. It's great. Paul, we can have a little 10-minute bit. Paul's thought pieces. It could be about anything. I like that in the podcast. Oh my word! How long will we last?
Now let's talk about politics.
There's plenty of time for that.
I like that, Paul. Thank you. Who's next? Let's go, because Dan hasn't got another one, but Richard has.
My second one is a game where I think the review's out now for a game called Dice Legacy, which has come to Xbox after being on PC for a while. So again, this is the to give it its full title, Dice Legacy Definitive Edition. It comes with all the updates and DLC that was previously available on PC, and it's sort of it's similar to the game that Darren previously mentioned. It's like a city builder, resource management, survival game. But the twist on this is, rather than it just being an out-and-out resource management survival game, your units are dice. So you've got up to 12 dice that you can roll at any time. And you use these to fight, to forage, build things and stuff like that, and etc. There's different classes of dice that you can have. So it's very much based on RNG in that sense. And it's up to you to sort of get a team of dice together that is able to perform all functions. So you start off with you arrive on this ring world, and then have to set up like a little village, a little population to them, which grow upon. So you'll be then building things, getting wood, stone, gold, etc. And then as you progress, you can then convert these dice into different classes. So there's then some that are merchant. You start off with peasant dice, and these are orange, and then you can go into blue soldier dice. I think the purple ones are like monk dice, and they've got different abilities and everything on the 6 sides. But this opening scenario, which is like an elongated tutorial, will then throw you in at the deep end. So it'll start off fairly simple with you easing you in, and then it'll say, right, it's winter time now, and every time you use a dice that's not near a generator, it then freezes and it becomes unusable for until winter ends, and it becomes summer again. And then it starts introducing these enemies that will come and start attacking your village and your settlement. And then it's constantly just throwing these things at you over and over again until the point where you're almost like, I just want to play the game, basically. I think it's much more, it becomes very reactive approach to playing it as opposed to proactively building your settlement and evolving it and things like that, because you're just constantly having to deal with issue after issue after issue. Your dice can become sick, and then if they're used in conjunction next to another dice, then they will pass that on. So it's like a contagious illness that can then affect all your dice. If you use one and it gets attacked, if you use using one to defend your settlement, it gets attacked back, it becomes wounded, which means if it gets another wound, that dice is destroyed. And it's just all these things that it throws at you, and it's not. I think I gave it 2.5 stars because it's a really good idea and it looks really pretty with like these dioramas. It's almost like you're playing a board game itself at times, but it's not a fun city builder in that sense, because it's just, you never get the chance to enjoy it as you would. It's just, the more you progress, the more frequent these enemies will come and to try and destroy your settlement, and the more. So it starts off with you only need 1 dice, and then later on you'll need up to 4 dice or maybe more, and it just loses its fun basically the more you play it.
Why dice?
I just think it's the RNG element. So each side of the dice has a different symbol on it. So if you roll the dice and it says, right, this dice for this turn.
Oh, I'm with you. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Great. I was just thinking all they've done is replace humans with dice who get sick and stuff. I couldn't work it out. I was thinking, why have they done that? Good. That makes more sense.
You want to try listening? He did explain all that.
I did. I just was so absorbed by the idea of dice getting sick and wounded and not surviving the winter. I think, why have they chosen dice? Do they get married, the dice?
They have little baby dice.
Well, if you put 2 peasant dice in the house together, another dice will be produced at the end of it, which is how you then keep your top up of your dice allotment, basically.
And not a lot of people know, but that is where dice actually come from.
Yep. Little
The new birds
stalk,
and the bees.
nice stalk.
Yeah, love it.
I've got to say that sounds absolutely dreadful. I'm so glad I didn't put my hand up for that one.
This is like James is normally has this game. It's unusual.
Yeah, James would have been all over that.
Yeah, it's great. Great, thank you, Richard. You described that beautifully. I did like the sound of it, apart from I couldn't understand it. But I did like not because of your telling.
Good idea. It's a very good idea on paper, but it doesn't do enough, basically.
It's like someone shouted in the room, "I've got an idea. It's dice, and they're like humans, and they've got to survive the winter." And someone's gone, "Yeah, let's do that." Good. Dice like I haven't got another game, nor is Dan. But I'm just while we're here, Richard, and you can help me with it. Final Fantasy. What number are we playing at the moment? What's the latest one? 16.
16.
Yeah. How you getting on? Have you finished it?
No, I have just done the bit where you go back to where Jill was kept prisoner and sort of finish her. All right, I wasn't anymore.
No. How you getting on with it? You still enjoying it?
Yes, although I don't want this to be taken the wrong way because I still think it's a very good game, but it is making me want to go back and play Final Fantasy.
Why is that?
Oh,
that's
a door.
That's a scary door.
Okay.
If anyone likes, that's my ghost door. That's what everyone likes to appreciate. Why do you want to go back? Because it's 10.
Because I don't think it's a very Final Fantasy.
Right.
And I want to go back and play one that has turn-based items, abilities, and leveling up. That's not just more equipment. Basically, it's not anything bad about this one, but it's not a true Final Fantasy. I mean, it is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know. I mean, it's like I think some of the locations, or most of the locations, it looks amazing.
Yeah,
you talked about it just looks ridiculously stunning. You're just like, wow, this is like a pure. You know, when you imagine RPGs and you think, oh, this is what they should be. You know, it's great. It's these wonderful worlds that you can look over there and go towards that. But it's very linear, so you're not going anywhere. But it still has that element, and the story again, which we talked about before, is brilliant. But you're right. There's no point. I mean, I've got so much gil. I haven't spent any.
Yeah.
I don't spend any money, or I don't really look at the items that much. So, yeah.
No, only thing I'm spending the gil on is the music to then play in the hideaway because I think that's the only thing that you need it.
Yeah.
Everything else you can just pick up by defeating enemies.
Yeah.
And then it'll give you 30 teeth or whatever to then use in crafting. It's like, what animal have I just killed that's got 30 teeth? But there we go.
But I'm almost playing it like a TV series. I'm doing it to a point, like an episode once a week, and then I'll have a little break and I'll go back and go, I'll start another episode. I get to it. Yes, it has that feel to it. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. But I can see where its downfalls are a little bit in that, especially in that Final Fantasy world. But yeah. Okay, let's go on to some news. Now, who wants to explain the chaos that is this bloody Call of Duty Microsoft deal? Who knows what's going on with it? I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows, to be honest, anymore.
No,
probably not even Phil. So,
no. Darren, you're
like
going to say
yo-yo, isn't it? I think. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the article that BBC did a few days ago about the truce that they've come to, where they're going to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation for the next 10 years or something. And then underneath the related articles are just, boost for the deal delayed, boost for the deal. And it's just like yo-yoing to and from. So it looks like now it's going to be given some time until October because of the CMA in Britain, their initial uneasiness around the impact on the cloud gaming market. They're open to negotiations if Microsoft change some structure in terms of the deal. They're open to it because they're the last blocker, it looks like now. That's a very brief overview of it, but there's been more twists and turns that I haven't really gone into because I'm not really that enamored by it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it is Dragon. I mean, the rumours, the things I kind of read a little bit about the sort of like the negotiations between PlayStation and Xbox is one of the things that PlayStation are trying to do, and this was the thing about it not going on to Game Pass. Call of Duty, the new one. And then, especially at the moment, when that Call of Duty comes out, which it looks like it's going to be in November, it's been leaked a little bit today. It's like it's a Modern Warfare 3 game. So that's what they're. But obviously, Xbox will be saying no. This is the whole point.
It's our game. We'll do what we want with it. Kindly get bent.
So feeling that's kind of what
negotiation pool might be a bit more.
There you go.
That, but,
No. That's all you need to say. Listen, it's my game. I'll do what the flipping heck I want with it.
Yeah.
That would solve a lot of problems if they were that forward.
It would be.
Yeah.
And you, Mr. Jim Ryan, you can get back in your box and sit down.
So we've got to wait to October, haven't we, to find out what happens next? That's when it's been delayed to. Is that right? That's what you said.
That's right.
That's right. There was something else interesting about Call of Duty where they put a fix in, and some old servers from the Xbox 360 games have gone live, and apparently lots and lots of players are going back to play them. So they think that's in preparation for the old titles going onto Game Pass when the deal goes through. Yeah. So there is still loads of demand.
I read that they put the servers on. I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I read they put the servers on in preparation for releasing them on the Switch as well.
Oh.
Okay.
So whether that's true or not, I don't know. Obviously, it was on Twitter, so it's got to be true.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, does that mean we don't have to talk about it now till October?
No, we have to talk about it every week.
Okay. Fine. Right. Good. Okay. So that's the kind of main kind of story that seems to be in everything at the moment. There was another big story that was basically Xbox Live is ending, and it's changing into Xbox Game Core. Is that right? I was a bit confused by this as well. So Xbox Live, as we know it, that's been going for 16 years or something, is now going to be called Xbox Game Core, and that's Xbox Pass Core, and that's coming in September. So the idea is you still pay your whatever it's 60 quid a year or something, or whatever it is, 45 quid a year, and you'll be able to go online like you did before, but also you get a selection of games. Is that right? Have I read that right? You get
there's going to be a few Game Pass games on like the basic tier. Yeah. So, and then obviously you can pay for your console, you can upgrade it, and you can pay for the PC, and then you can have Ultimate, which puts it all together. So, yeah, it's all sounds a bit like the old PlayStation system that I found very confusing when I got my PS4, trying to figure out what tier I wanted to be on. But at least with Game Pass, it's easier. You just go for the top tier, and then you get all of the games. So there you go. Done.
Yeah, there you go. Jesus.
Next, move on.
Yeah. Anyone got any comments about this? Anyone thinks it's a good thing? Anyone care?
I do, because it finally lets the beleaguered games with gold rest in peace, because that's been pretty, let's say, meager for a long time. So I think it's a way of finally tying that up as well. So I think it's probably the best thing they could have done, so they don't price loads of people out, because we were talking about that a few weeks ago, weren't we? So
yeah, absolutely.
It feels like a natural evolution for it. So I mean, I think we're all Game Pass Ultimate subscribers now anyway. So for us, it's not going to be a major change. Nothing's changing our end, but it just means that I think people that would have been aggrieved with games with gold ending, their tier, if they're the Xbox, well, they will be Xbox Live Gold members if they've got games with gold. They're still getting access to games as included in their subscription. So yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to put you lot on the spot now, really quickly one. We've been trying to do this for the last couple of weeks, and I've never got around to it, but we're sort of we've just gone past now the 6-month mark of the year. Quickly, first of all, going around here, 2023, has it been a good year for games so far up to this point?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here and say 2 favourite games I'm going to go in order. 2 favourite games of the year so far. Let's start with Paul. What's your 2 favourite games of the year?
Oh God, why are you starting with me?
Yeah, because I know you're like being put on the spot.
Obviously, I love
Evil
it.
man.
2 favourite games of the year so far. I'm going to say Persona 4, whichever one it was, Persona 4 that came out. I can't remember what the subtitle to it was. And one from quite recently, actually, Miasma Chronicles. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that looks great. Get me a good
Yeah.
review. That's a good review. Yeah, good. I read Paul's review for that. Really interesting game. And Richard, what about you?
I'm going back through my notes from last week where you asked this question again. So I put a load down, but the one I put in bold was Star Wars Jedi Survivor as my favourite game of this year so far. Probably number 2, I would have to go Theatre Rhythm Final Bar Line, which is the Final Fantasy music spin-off on PlayStation and Switch.
Wow. Good.
Wow.
Good. What about you, Darren?
I think for me, at risk of disappointing you, Gareth, going back, Resident Evil 4 remake, partly for nostalgia and just such a good job they did with it. I really enjoyed that to the point where I started playing it again immediately afterwards, which I haven't done in a long time when I completed it. And also Amnesia the Bunker. I thought it was fantastically done. But I do really rate Atomic Heart as well. I think it got a bit of a rough ride. I enjoyed my time with that. But Resident Evil and Amnesia were my 2, I think.
DLC coming out for that, Darren, August the 3rd for Atomic Heart.
Yes.
Good. I think my 2 might be, I think I'm going to go for Jedi Survivor with Richard on that. Maybe. There's many more. But, yeah. And Hogwarts. Yeah. I thought Hogwarts Legacy was very, very good. Yeah. But a good year so far. But there's lots of games in there as well. That's been great. Especially a lot of indie games. Fantastic indie games in there. There we go. That's our week. What are we looking forward to next week, you lot? What you've got planned, Paul?
Next week, we have got a night fishing session planned, which we're quite looking forward to. And then after that, the week after that, if I'm not on next week, I've got my date through to go and have my injections in my shoulders. So hopefully they'll finally be sorted out.
Great. You've ruined next week's news, but yeah.
Well, I might not be on next week. I might get run over by a bus.
Good. Richard, what about you?
I'm looking forward to a couple of games, one of which I'm playing now and I'm looking forward to talking about next week, which is Antstream, which is the 1,300 plus cloud gaming game that's coming out on Friday where you can play all the retro games.
Is that the proper retro games, or are they like recreations?
No, it's the real stuff. So it's all your specky games, your C64 games. I think the most modern console it's got on there at the moment is PS1. So it's a wide range of really 80s and 90s stuff.
Well, that sounds right up my alley, that does. I hadn't even heard of that. So thank you, Dobbo, for your public service announcement.
Okay. And a game that I expect to be one of my best games of the year come the end of the year, Remnant 2 is out tomorrow as well, I believe.
It's getting some great reviews. Fantastic reviews. Yeah, so that was very good. Are you going to review that for us, Richard?
Hopefully. If code comes in, I want to put my name down for it because I love the last one as well, and this one seems to be doing everything the same but better.
I would come
Let
in.
me just send Neil a message.
I would. If Neil can get code, I'll play that. I'll play that with you as well. I like the look of this.
I'll play that with you too, Dobbo.
Yeah.
Well, that's my team of 3 sorted then.
There we go.
Hooray!
What a team. I'm sorry, Darren.
Sorry, Darren.
No, that's.
But Darren's got.
I'll just have another power.
You won't even download it, so I don't know why you bothered.
Darren, you got
best intentions.
You got an amazing week ahead. I can see it in front of me. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, it's all centred around the by-elections, Gareth. So I'll be watching them tonight.
Yeah, that's good. So the celebration start.
Triple spanking. No, I'll be going to the festival. weekend. So it's a local festival in Nottingham at Woollerton Hall, which, fun fact, they use the exterior of that hall to double up as Wayne Manor in the Christopher Nolan Batman films. So it's a beautiful place. And they've started doing it for 2 days the last few years. So we're seeing bands like Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, Madness, Rudimental, even the Sugar Babes are there in whatever incarnation they're up to. So that should be good fun. And then I'm off work as well, so I'm looking forward to just having some time really to chill out. So it should be a good week.
Good, brilliant. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, if we need to find you, where can we find you? Paul, where we can get hold of you? I
am on Twitter and Threads at TheXboxHub. Paul is my handle.
Why that sounds so funny? I don't know.
What's it called on Threads, Paul? What's the equivalent of a handle? Is it like strings?
I don't know. A needle.
Yeah.
A needle.
I just made that up.
Good, I like that. The Twitter and Threads. Threads is still going.
Threads is still going. It's going strong.
Yeah, good.
And I'll tell you, it's a nice place to be as well. There's none of this
because no one's
nonsense.
on it.
Yeah, only nice people are on it. And Gareth, obviously.
Okay, Paul, we can find you there. What about you, Richard?
I'm on Twitter and that also defunct social media site Threads. And my handle is at @Dobbo1912.
Brilliant. And what about you, Darren?
I'm not on Threads, but if it's still alive in a few months, I may sign up. But I am on Twitter, and my handle is @27Darren.
Brilliant. Thank you, gentlemen. You can find me at GB Briley on Twitter, Twitch, Threads. Googly Book. I don't know where it's got other things. Right, but for now, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.thexboxhub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.